We know quite well what is impacting our terrestrial ecosystems: cities, agriculture, fragmentation, infrastructure, and so on. But what is actually happening underwater to our marine ecosystems? Today, we talk to Dr. Katie Deforn from Macquarie University. Katie is an expert on marine urban infrastructure and will tell us about the challenges, but also the opportunities marine urban infrastructure holds for our biodiversity. Katie, can you explain what marine urbanization is and how it affects natural ecosystems?
So a lot of people are really familiar with what urban sprawl is on land, but what we're starting to realize is that construction is taking place more frequently in the oceans and at much larger scales. And so marine urbanization refers to that kind of construction that we're doing, the seawalls, the marinas, the port developments, the offshore wind, oil and gas platforms as well. So we are putting a lot of different kinds of concrete structures into marine habitats where they're not natural, and it is having quite a big impact on marine life that live there.
So can you expand a bit on the ecosystem services marine environments provide to our cities?
The kinds of marine creatures that live in our cities are really important to maintain really great water quality. Things like oysters and mussels, lots of different shellfish. They are all termed filter feeders. And so what they do is filter particles out of the water column. And when they do that, they take away things like pollution as well. And you can imagine in an urban space, we have big problems with pollution, both from the industrial past, but also lots of inputs these days coming in from things like stormwater runoff. So having things like shellfish that will filter them out is really important. We also have other marine life like seaweeds that they don't filter out pollutants, but they actually absorb them into their tissues. So they perform a really important function in terms of water quality as well. And then we have lots of other things like habitat that gets provided by different kinds of animals in marine systems. We have a lot of support of recreational activities. So just having healthy blue spaces are great for people's mental health and well-being. And then there's a huge amount of kind of fishing activity that takes place in many urban centers. So that's another really important service that marine creatures provide.
Mm. So marine urbanization is happening everywhere and at really fast rates throughout the world. What should we keep in mind when designing current and future marine developments?
Yeah, with colleagues of mine, we actually mapped marine urbanization quite recently, and we discovered that the footprint of actual built structures is about 32,000 kilometers squared on the seafloor, and the impacts associated with them extend to around 3 million kilometers squared of seafloor. So there's lots of impacts from things like light pollution, noise pollution, and some of the other kinds of chemical contaminants. In terms of trying to manage that complex, multiply stressed system, we really need to think about how we build in the future, think about what natural requirements marine life have, and see if we can integrate some of those into the built structures themselves. One kind of project that relates to that is trying to create habitats on what would otherwise be pretty flat seawalls that we find in many of our coastal cities. Just by providing some habitat to that flat structure is really important for protection from heat, protection from predators, and can give a big boost to biodiversity.
Yeah, so I see there's a lot of potential also for future research. Could you recommend or provide recommendations for early career researchers interested in studying marine urban systems?
I think for anyone who's interested in studying urban systems, marine urban systems, I think you really have to start thinking across disciplines now. The kind of work that I've been doing to help manage the impacts of urbanization in marine systems has required, input from ecologists, input from environmental scientists. I've worked with a lot of architects. I've worked with engineers because a lot of these structures have an engineering purpose as well as an ecological purpose. And then I've also worked with quite a number of designers too. So as an early career researcher, I think it's time to, work outside that ecology box and start to try and communicate well with people from different disciplines and help each other try to solve problems together.
Katie, you have done fieldwork all over the world in marine settings. Do you have a favorite moment of fieldwork you could share with us?
It's so funny when you ask a question like that. The first thing that springs to mind is one time in the field when I was a little bit unprepared. We were diving at an oil refinery wharf, actually, and we needed to get, fairly deep underwater, and I'd forgotten my weight belt. So I had one of my undergraduate volunteers with me who was, really, really fun, liked to make a lot of jokes. And when I realized I didn't have my weight belt, I told her she was going to have to stand on my back and hold me under the water while I did all my work and got it finished. And she, of course, thought that was quite hysterical that she got to hold her lecturer's head under the water for as long as she felt like it. But it all worked out in the end. We still managed to do the sampling we needed to do. And I think she has a fun story to tell about her experience as a marine volunteer in future.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Katie.
No worries. Thank you.